Welcome to Epic Sketch Time, week number 17, the sketch time that almost wasn't. I'm your host tonight, Mark Monlix. I do a web comic called The Comic Critic and another one called The Return the Stickman.
And I'm Pat McEwen. I do a comic called The Devil and Mr. Gandhi.
Patrick, who else should I invite to this? I already invited in Ann M. Jess, a friend of mine who's a graphic facilitator. She showed an interest in wanting to show up tonight. Who are some other regulars?
Definitely. I know Brett will not be able to make it tonight because it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Brett. Deanna, if she's around. Locke, if he's around.
Okay. Let's try Locke.
If you have a link for Jim Kersey too, he can't always make it due to his kids, but he has shown up a couple times.
Now, I'm looking for a Jim Kersey. I have everyone who's a regular member of Epic Sketch Time. Is he in the membership, or?
I'm not quite sure.
Then I don't have a link for him. Let me double check. And I'll try Diane in a sec. I'm looking at all the people who are members and trying to see if I can find Diane Donaldson. There we go. Diana Donaldson. Let's try that. Do you know how many Diana Donaldsons there are? And I'm not finding the one that has her. Oh, there it is. Found it. Thank you for sending me Jim Kersey's profile. Add him to the mix. I like adding people even though they didn't show an interest. Wait, now I have to look up. His name. Now, Bill, who's normally here, is at another drawing event where they do a once a month. You do a one-page comic at the event. Nice look.
Cool.
Where did the color go? Asked baffled readers. I'm now going to see if Anne is online. And if she's trying to get in. Oh, she's done the same thing that you've done. I've sent them an invite to have a chat, but they've never responded, so I can't send any further messages.
Aha.
I'm not nagging, mind you. That's just my Pacific Northwest passive aggressiveness.
Well, while we're talking here, can't you send? Are you saying you can or can't send invites randomly to people?
I can. What I'm saying is, when you're trying to text someone or do sort of like a text hangout with somebody on Google,
Oh, okay.
you type to them, but they have to accept that invitation to have any type of dialogue, and they only
Gotcha.
get to receive one notification. And if they don't touch it, then there's no way for you to try to ping them again. So you have an email or a text waiting from me in your inbox somewhere, and oh, hang on, I just a Twitter announcement from Ink Puddle saying, "Be sure to harass Mark Monlitz for an invite to Epic Sketch Time going on right now."
That's right.
The going to go back to the invite page. There's a Steve Bernard also wants to be invited. He was a maybe, so let me go ahead and do that. And then I'll just give up on inviting people and enjoy myself. Steve has not had much success in accessing Hangouts before. It's something he hasn't done.
Well, I think I've discussed this before. Like, I've entered Epic Sketch Time by like 5 or 6 different methods. It seems to change almost every time, which is weird.
For a while there, I was being very successful in entering in via the email, but recently the email doesn't work, and I actually have to have my Google profile up and active. And then after like the third time, I'll get an invite in the Hangout that pops up. And I have absolutely no idea why that is.
Yeah, I kind of go to the event page, and then I open up the kind of like chat box, and that's a way that you can, as you were saying earlier, like you can accept the invitation through there.
Well, let's see. The only people who have signed up for tonight was Anne and you and myself. Still apologizes for not sending out an event announcement. Basically, he got very overloaded with work, has about 12 hours worth of work and only 6 hours to do it in. And I guess he didn't want to commit. Meanwhile, he didn't call me. I had to nag him, say, "Hey, where's the invite?" And he's sort of like, "Oh, can you do it?" I think, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." But then right after that, I get this crazy call from a client who he's absolutely insane to work for. He hands me the most insane projects. He pays wonderful. I should have a cash register ching as his dial tone. Because he may, run you over a barrel, but he's more than willing to pay you run over the barrel prices and I can't say I love working for him, but it's always a lot of fun because at the end of it, I have a big happy grin on my face. Did a lot of good work. But to give you an idea, one time he calls me up and actually the very first time he called me up was a friend of mine had done the storyboards for this whiteboard video. And the shooting date got moved up because the deadline date for the video got moved up because the client said, oh, we have to have it by such and such time because we decided we're going to be at this show or opening or whatever. But the artist couldn't do it because they were in DC doing another project. There was just no way they could get on a plane and get out there. So I was given, they gave me, give out my name. And here I am, it's Monday night. I just got back from giving a 4-hour lecture on copyright at the community college. I was completely drained. I was as tired as could be. And calls me up and says, well, we need to shoot this on Thursday. Can you be on a flight Wednesday? And I'm thinking, okay, that gives me a day to relax and make arrangements and all that noise. Yeah, I can do that. That way, when I got there, I could take the storyboards, redraw them because they have to see what they're getting, and I'm definitely not drawing like this other person. And I have to do a dry run practice anyway, so I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So after I agree and I hang up, half an hour as I'm just beginning to scoop up my dinner, he calls again, says, can you be on a flight tomorrow? And I went, okay, well, let's make this happen. It's been a lot like that. One time he calls me on Friday just before a 3-day weekend, which my plans had just fallen through for that 3-day weekend by sheer fluke. And my wife had decided, my wife's saying, I need to go in Saturday and do some work now because I'm really behind. And since our weekend's cleared, let's do that. And I said, okay, you can go into work. And he calls me up and he says, we've got this this project, but we need the storyboards tomorrow. I went, oh, nuts. And I says, can't wait past the weekend. No, can't wait past the weekend. It's, the shoot date's Thursday and we need to get this approved. They haven't seen any storyboards. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll crank it out on Saturday. My wife was going to go into work anyway. I'll just do it. So I cranked them out, and I'm waiting to hear back from him on when I was going to be flying out on Wednesday to do the shoot on Thursday. I wonder if he's going to move it up to Wednesday, because he said later in the week. Won't come past him to move it up to Wednesday. So he gets the storyboards. Hey, these are great, but here's the thing. Can you be on a plane on Monday and we're going to do the shoot Monday? And I'm going, that's nuts. I need a day to do dry rehearsals. And I'm thinking, oh, that's why he doesn't have me on the plane tomorrow. He's expecting me to do dry rehearsals on Sunday here at home, which is why I ended up doing. And then I got on plane there, and I was telling him this is not a quick project. It was a 6-hour project, and they weren't even starting this shoot until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I said, do you have, it was very unusual for them to stay up past 5. Says there's going to be a camera guy there until 8 because it's going to take till 8. Yeah. So we started off with a crew of 6, but by 8 o'clock it was just me and the camera guy who had a terrible cold and was sneezing behind me. And the poor guy used to suffering. And here he is stuck doing 2 different shoots. Thankfully, they had set up. They do a wonderful job setting up for me at that studio. Great studio spot. But yeah, working him, it's always a crazy circus. But he thrives on it, Me,
At least somebody does.
well, I thrive on the checks, So.
Sure.
And and today I was right after I got his call. I got an email from another client that they had talked to me about possibly doing 2 storyboards, and then it was on the calendar for earlier this month, and I was supposed to be actually there shooting this week, but I'm out. Earlier this month when I was saying, "Hey, come on, they give me more time. They don't give me a crazy schedule like this other guy. They had 2 storyboards, so I was thinking, 3 weeks in advance I need stuff. And they said, well, we're going to push this on the back burner because we need to talk to the client again after the last brainstorming session. They called and they said, no, project has been shelved.
Uh-huh.
Both of them. And I'm kind of going, well, you never know. They might come off. They might stay up there forever, or they might come down. But as the guy who hires me all the time with these crazy schedules, he says whiteboards are like crack. Once the client gets a little bit of a taste, they keep coming back.
There you go.
Oh man, last week I'm opening up my various Photoshop documents so I can switch away from my head. I think I have the screen set up so that yours is the one up right now. Everyone else is just admiring me in my lovely Hawaiian shirt. I'm going to quickly check and going to try to invite Ann one last time. Who knows, maybe this will be the one that succeeds. How warm is it in your neck of the woods, Patrick? It's like 85 degrees here today.
It was pretty perfect today. I think it got up around between 65 and 70. And, it was cool, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of coolness. Pretty perfect around here.
What is the weirdest thing you've ever been asked to work on?
I don't know. I come up with some pretty weird stuff on my own. I don't usually have to be asked. Recently I got to 2,000 followers on my Devil and Gandhi Twitter account. So I did some giveaways and kind of like digital sketch giveaways, and I did a kind of sticker giveaway and a button giveaway. And one of the digital sketch giveaway people just kind of out of the blue was like, hey, you know that cartoon Archer on FX? I'm like, yeah. He's like, turn me and my wife into Archer characters. And I'm like, wow, like that's, you know, not a simple request, but I wound up doing it and I was pleased with the outcome. So, and again, that wasn't necessarily weird. It was just kind of not quite what I was expecting, and probably a little bit more than I was hoping for in terms of, you know, giving away free artistic services. But in the end, I was pleased with it, and he was pleased with it.
One of my strangest projects. It was the one time I asked for a full payment in advance because I thought it was really a flaky request.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the full payment in advance. To doing some patent illustrations. Now, there's a very specific way to do patent illustrations. You're supposed to use a specific line weight and a specific fonts. The fonts have to be a specific size, yada, yada. And their request was to do this female condom.
Okay.
Which basically looked like a latex thong with pull tabs. Is the best way I could describe it. And another one was very early on in my career. I got called in by this agency. They said, "Are you available for Paste Up and Production?" I said, "Yeah, I am." And they said, "Great, we can use you today. How much? Can you give us several hours?" I said, "Yeah, I can give you as many hours as you need." That was back when I was charging a different rate for Paste Up and Production than I was from illustration or design. And then I finally got smart and started charging my illustration rate for both Paste Up and design. And people said, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Because I'd rather be drawing."
Sure.
If I'm not drawing, then I like to be making the same amount of money as I was drawing. I don't want to be a production guy. And anyway, so I go to the agency, and I go into this room, and I said, "Okay, what's my assignment?" He says, "See all these boxing gloves?" And there's this pile of like 200 boxing gloves or 100 boxing gloves. Maybe it might have only been 100, but it was at least, it was triple digits. And I said, "Yeah." Says, "We need to mail these out as, and they go in these boxes over here. But before we can put them in the boxes, they need to be laced. This is how you lace a boxing glove." He showed me how to lace the boxing glove. I said, "Okay, get to it."
What?
Oh, by the way, do the left ones, because when they come to the event, they'll be given the right boxing glove. That's the invite, was they get the left-handed boxing glove, and then they come to the event and they get the matching boxing glove. I went, okay. So I sat down, and it took me 4 hours to lace 100 boxing gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, "Oh, that's great. Well, we still got a little bit more time in the day. Why don't you go ahead and start lacing the right ones?" And I got the right ones done in 2 hours, because by then I was getting pretty damn good at lacing boxing gloves. And I said to the guy, why on God's green earth did you hire me to do this? You could have hired some schmo off the street at a lower hourly rate than what you were paying me for production land. He says, well, maybe what he was really thinking that, well, I wasn't charging enough, which is what I came away with it as. But he said, well, you never know. We like to hire graphic artists because something might come up and you might actually need a graphic artist. And my reply to him was, well, when you called me this morning, that's kind of what I thought you were asking for was a graphic artist.
Right.
So
that's downright bizarre.
yes. But actually more enjoyable than the female condom.
Well, there you go.
Mm. So I spent all my evenings last week where is my stylus? Formatting all these cards with the titles for my final for the printer.
Okay.
And if you go, I'm going to make my screen big. Just a moment. And as you can see from my wonderful screen here, I got the titles up here.
Mm-hmm.
But I had made a mistake. And that was this font. I was doing an actual size, and it wasn't rasterizing well because the PostScript for the font had gone away. I'd fallen in love with this particular font. And when I was saving out to the JPEGs and actual files, it was looking a little blocky.
Mm-hmm.
So to solve that, or what I really should have done is doing what I'm doing now, and that is have it at double size. I'm still shrinking down the artwork because the artwork's huge. I decided to make them big in case I wanted to do larger prints. So I'm having to go back in and redo the artwork, or rather shrink down the artwork again and reformat it on a final layout at double size. At this point, I then convert it into a JPEG file, and then once I have that JPEG file, I reduce the JPEG file. Once you flatten the image, that gets rid of the font, the EPS coding, and it becomes a graphic. But by reducing it down after that, you get the graying pixels around it, which make it read a lot better.
Mm.
And it's just a shortcut. It's a technical shortcut to making something look good when you don't want to go out and pay for the PostScript, or if in this case I just could not get the computer to recognize the PostScript features of this font.
Mm.
Probably because I'm running CS4. So that meant that all of my evening's worth of work last week went into the round file.
Mm-hmm.
A little bummed by that. So now I'm trying to. Stowe would be instantly mocking me for yet again working on my cards during Epic Sketch time, but and I'm sure other people would have other solutions other than what I'm doing is I'm flattening the files. I'm then changing the DPI from 300 to from 600 to 300, having the size of the file, and then saving out the file as a 300 version. Thankfully, I saved out all the previous files as 300 versions, so I don't have to. I got through 3 of the suits until I'm now working on the diamond suit in the actual larger size. So none of these images have been saved out as 300s. Now that I have it saved out as 300, go in and select the image. Go to my wonderful new little layout. Paste it in. Hit T for transform. Punch in the percentages. Since I have a split screen, you guys can't see this, but I'm punching in 66% on both the horizontal and the vertical. That gets it pretty close to the size that I want. I'm just going to position it over this. I got this blue field. That is the right size, and the reason I have that there is so that I can go in and on this layer change the opacity and then kind of tweak it to feel this thing, because when I drew these, I drew them really rough with a rough border, thinking that would look cool, and now I'm kind of thinking, well, why oh why didn't I save this for doing the border once I had it in here, which is something I'll be remembering to do on the next series if this series is popular. Now I have that kind of size, increase the opacity back up to 100%. Apply that transformation, save the file, always save the file.
Always save the file.
Always save the file. Then move on to the next image and repeat the process. And I'm going to, I don't know which image. Now here's something I don't know. If I stop screen sharing, I think it defaults back to me since I'm the host to my screen share, and then it doesn't seem to bounce back in conversations. So I'm going to stop doing a screen share. Now, Patrick, you say something. I want to see if it bounces over to you.
Bounce, bounce, bounce,
See,
bounce, bounce.
It's not bouncing.
Bounce.
So I'm just going to put it on you for a little while. Since you're making what's obviously a nice little mock newspaper.
It's very true, very true.
Oh, and there goes your screen.
Well, yeah, I kind of dropped out of screen share mode for a second there. Yeah, I'm actually making something for what I like to call Gratis Comic Book Day, which happens every year, the first Saturday of May. It has no connection to Free Comic Book Day, totally different. It's called Gratis Comic Book Day. And I've given away comics. I kind of set up a Google form on my website, and I have people order a free comic from me.
Well, that sounds nice.
Yeah, so I'm doing I'm putting a bunch of my 4-panel daily strip format comics together with some guest strips by some other creators. And it's going to be like a mini comic format, like 8.5 by 5.5. And should be interesting. Just a matter of, can I get it done?
So that'll be available on when again? And where can people find that?
Well, I'll have a link to it on the Devil and Gandhi webpage. So as soon as I finish it, I will create a Google form that allows people to put in their address information. So it'll be something like devilandgandhi.com/free comic or something along those lines.
Now, do you have your past link still active, or did you take it down once you were done with it?
I typically take it down because I do a separate and different Google form. Because when you do the Google form, you can have it kind of export to a spreadsheet view. So I kind of just keep those on file and kind of start fresh every year, basically. So I kind of take it down, I deactivate the Google form, and then kind of create a brand new one each year. So as far as I know, it's not up on my website now. Yeah, if you actually go to devilandgandhi.com/free comic, you can see last year's form, and it says something to the effect of, this form is no longer accepting responses. So I'll probably keep that same address and just switch out the Google form for that. And I would actually do it through Store Envy, but I couldn't find a way to offer it for free.
So if you take a moment and look at my screen,
Mm-hmm.
can you possibly guess what famous horror film this is? Or
Well, I've already seen the
oh, you already seen this one.
But I've actually seen that movie. I've seen Piranha at least once or twice. Very bad.
I must have a soft spot in my heart for it. So.
But I do appreciate the fact that they've attempted to bring those movies back. Like they did like a modern version of Piranha.
I have yet to see them. I saw the sequel, but I haven't seen the Piranha in 3D one. And I haven't seen the remake. Or was the remake in 3D?
To be honest, I forget. But there was something, I don't know, amusing because it kind of relished its own campiness. Like I feel like David Hasselhoff is in one of the Piranha movies, and they really cheese it up. But I remember the original Piranha movie, then there was the Barracuda, and cheesy but fun, you know.
Speaking of movies, I know you don't get out a lot because you're a dad.
Incorrect. I don't get out a lot because I don't like, I've lost my love of seeing movies in the theater.
Oh, really? I love the sticky floors. There's something about being in a theater that I just absolutely love.
I had that when I was in high school and into college, it was like I'd go to the movies almost every single weekend. Even if it was seeing something that was not terribly alluring, I'd be like, well, let's go to the movies anyway. And I don't know what happened in between that time, but now it's, I saw Star Wars, and I still haven't seen Batman versus Superman. I probably will not see that.
I have not seen Batman versus Superman either. I'd rather see Zootopia at this point.
Sure.
But my problem is my wife is not a moviegoer. She'll only go occasionally, and usually it's for children's films. Like I could possibly get her to go to Zootopia. She might go to a Marvel film, but I used to have to seek out friends to go to horror movies with. I have this one friend. He doesn't. He loves going to movies, but he always wants to go to a movie when I can't go to a movie. Whenever I try to get him to go to a movie, he bails on me half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I lived in Ballard, I had. By the way, folks, for you who are not familiar with the Pacific Northwest, Ballard is on the north side of Seattle along the water, and due to the roads and streets and things, it takes about 20 minutes to get to Ballard from anywhere else that's close by, like, say, Seattle or the highway. Or it's just a poorly constructed location. I actually enjoyed living in Ballard. But that aside, I had a friend who lived in Ballard, and she was my horror movie buddy. And we'd go out and watch horror movies together. It's very hard to get someone who's also into horror movies like you are. Like, I love a good horror film. Okay, I am going to, as a reward for you listening to me babble on, I'm going to show you my entire suit of cards. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so Island of Terror is the, this is for the suit of diamonds. It's going to be the ace. Fiend Without a Face is going to be the king. The Incredible Melting Man is going to be the queen. The Funhouse, how would I say? Let's say is a mutant. That's a good word. Will be the jack. The It's Alive Baby is the 10.
Nice.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark is number 9. Number 8 is Tentacles. I had to shift that around because it didn't make sense to have tentacles be on 7. It had to be 8. Number 7 is The Alligator People. Number 6 is It. Number 5 is Attack of the Giant Leeches. Number 4 is I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. Number 3 is Piranha. And number 2, Night of the Demon. And that's going to be the suit of diamonds. And these sections over here in top left and the bottom right, this is where the printer will be putting in the suits callouts, like the jack of diamonds in this case. So that's one deck down. Now I have to redo the size with another deck.
I feel like once you're done and you've completed this, you should like do a, I don't know, you could probably sell like a tutorial ebook on literally start to finish. How do you do a card set like that? Because I mean, it is way too large of a project and intimidating. I'd be like, no, 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 I will never do a card deck ever in my life. But
You've never done a large series of images before?
not to that extent, no.
This is the largest. Well, think of your comics. You do a comic every. How many hundreds of comics have you done?
Not all that many. I mean, seriously.
Well, it has been a time gobbler, that's for sure. Let's see. You need to double check this image size.
I definitely have the habit of flitting and moving on to, keeping many projects on many back burners and then kind of drifting in between back and forth to projects. So the idea of doing, well, I guess my next comic project is theoretically going to be like a 100-page graphic novel. And I'm just languishing in the planning stages right now. It's like I haven't even drawn page 1 of it yet. I think because that kind of large, encompassing goal is kind of staring at me and forcing me to drift to other back burner projects in the meantime. Have you shown us in previous Epic Sketch Times the oh yeah, you have. I remember you showed us the design that's going to be on the back of all the cards.
Oh yeah, would you like to see it one more time? I can pull it up.
Yeah, because did you go with a solid black on the outline, or did you do a color outline on that?
You know, I think I decided to lean with the. Honest to God, I can't remember. So, hang on. I'm going to. Want to save this file. Want to make sure that I have it differentiated from the first one. And now I have to go in and reinstall these images because I blew this up from the lower resolution. It was a 300 DPI, but when I blew it up to this version, which is twice the size larger, that basically affected even though it's 300 DPI now, the resolution of it knocked back to 150 because of that. And if I went in really close, you would see see that. Look how yeah. So I got to go back in and replace all these with the 300 versions. But first, I'm going to show you guys the suit of what's going to be the spades. Get that as large as I can on the screen. Oh man, Killer Shrews. One of my favorite movies as a kid. I could not get enough of the Killer Shrews. I mean, it was a horrible B movie, but I just loved it. Giant shrews. Monster that conquered the world as the king. Queen is Bubba Hotep. Jack is... Ooh, that can't be right. That is not the humanoids from the Deep Monster. That is the Terror That Would Not Die or something like that. Okay, that's all messed up.
Uh-oh.
Oh, From Hell It Came. There we go. Okay, so I definitely have to get Monster from the Ocean Floor. Brain Damage from the 80s. You ever see Brain Damage?
No.
Oh, it was pre-CGI practical special effects, as was Cyclops. So, Sasquatch. Oh, that year has to be wrong. Okay, I'm going to have to double check on that because the Sasquatch I'm thinking of is in the 80s. I'm going to have to double check that. The Monster of Pedra Blancas. Q, the Winged Serpent. The Prophecy Bearer. The Creature from the Haunted Sea. Quite probably one of the worst. I tell you, there's something about monsters that come from England. They have the most terrible design. Okay, so I got the back of the cards. Let's see where I look with that. I'm looking at it, and it looks like I decided to go with a solid black on that line. Let's get in there. Now, here's something I'm a little worried about. It doesn't show up at this size, but when I go in really deep, I get these weird little bars right like that. And I think that I'm going to have to go in and double check that because it shouldn't be doing that. I mean, wouldn't that be terrible if that goes to press and so yeah, I think I decided to went with the black, go with the black on this. I'm really happy with the design, how it came out. I redrew this a couple different times, and you really want to draw something when every time you draw it at a separate sit down and you look and you compare your sketches, they pretty much match.
Sure.
So
no, it looks great. And I definitely prefer. I am a black line drawer. So,
and I think one of the reasons I decided to go with the black line was because all the art on the other side is going to have a black line.
Definitely.
I'm going to take off from presentation because I have a show and tell to do. So, weekend before last was Emerald City Comic Con. And every year at Emerald City Comic Con, they produce a book called Monsters and Dames.
Very cool.
What they ask is people who have a table at the event can submit artwork. You're not guaranteed to get in. Matter of fact, this is like the third time I've submitted artwork, and I finally got in on this one. Now, the piece of art that I submitted, I actually submitted 3 years ago, and it didn't win, or it didn't get approval. And I was kind of ticked off because I knew it was a good piece of art. And so I entered it into a professional graphic arts competition underneath self-promotion, which it basically is. and I won a silver prize for it. And so on ECC's Facebook page, it said, "Hey guys, you remember this piece of art that didn't get into last year's Monsters and Dames? Well, I entered into the competition and won a silver." So this year I submitted 2 pieces, a new piece and that previous piece. I think it was totally different judges because they got totally different staff now. But they chose the piece that I submitted 3 years ago that I won the award for, and that's the one.
Very cool.
So, though to be honest, there's such fantastic art in here. Hundreds of people have booths at the show, but they only choose 87 artists, and they print only 1,000 numbered copies, and then also the artist copies. And then the big thing is to go around to the show, and they tell you what table these artists are at, and you go and get your autographs from the various artists.
Sure.
That really drove up my sales at my table. It made this year my best year ever. And I would say that about 1 in 5 people that came for a signature walked away with something else from my table.
Sure. No, that's very cool.
My buzzer just blinked at me, letting me know that we're getting on to 8:30. And I know that's kind of late for you.
Yep. My epic sketching dropped dramatically over the past 10-15 minutes. I'm just like, oh, I'll watch Mark and just kind of sit here. That sounds good.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No, I'm about to sign off.
Okay, I tell you what, I'm ready to sign off too. So I'll see you next week, and hopefully Stowe will be host again.
And we'll have a better turnout. Although this has been fun, Mark.
Oh, thanks. Nice hanging with you, Patrick.
Have an epic night.
You too, sir. Good night.
Okay.